Really awesome. Great work.
Yep. So persistence. So there's essentially two options for persistence. So this one, what we used was storing it locally on the user's device. The other option is to store it in the cloud in some database. So the easier option is to store it locally on the device. So this only ended up being 10 lines of code or so. But eventually we will want to store this information in the cloud so that different users of our apps can communicate with each other and not just have circles on their own device. So we want the entire world to know that I've created a Durham soccer players circle, and anyone in the entire world can join that circle. You probably only want to join it if you're in Durham, but so other devices can see the circles that are out there. And so eventually, after we finish the basic implementation of the app, we'll change this to store it in some cloud database somewhere. And then maybe we'll add like an advanced feature like you can use the user's current location and see all of the circles around them or something like that, which is a cool future possibility. So we don't need these print statements anymore because we're actually doing something with the user data. Okay, and so that's pretty much all we're going to need for this screen. So we've got all of the code to display the questions that we want to ask the user, and then now we've got completed the code to actually create this group and store it locally on our device. So the next step then is going to be creating this next tab. So I think a good next tab to create is viewing all of the circles you've created. So just like we have a list, we've created a bunch of lists. Lists are pretty common in iOS apps. We'll make another list which has all the circles we've created, and then we can click on them and it will go into another page where we can invite other members, where we can edit the description of the circle, where we can send a message to all of the members, and all the other features of our app.
Mm-hmm. Can you can you press the button on your simulator? Is this what you get when you hit the create button? Can I see you do that?
Yes. So I have to rerun this. So it should work, but you basically won't see anything yet because we haven't yet built this screen to actually display the circles.
Oh, okay.
So if I, so I could make, so we see we have the error, and then I would make some descriptions, and then we hit this create button, and so it seems like nothing happens, because all it's doing is storing it to the device.
Okay, so you're just gonna create a new
Yeah.
controller.
So once we build this screen, we will be able to see that pop up here.
Okay.
And then, awesome. So
that's great. If you want to stop there, that's fine. If you have more to go, then feel free.
Yeah, so we'll just do a couple of user-friendly features for this screen. So as you can see, I hit the create button, but who knows if it actually worked or not. So two things that we can add here are one, a pop-up that says group successfully created, and then also deleting the text here once it successfully creates. Because once I hit create, I don't really want this in the description anymore, so the fields should clear.
Mm-hmm.
So the pop-up will be very simple and very similar to this error alert. So we can actually just copy this code and edit it just slightly. So we'll change the title to show success alert. We'll change the title to success, and then we'll change the message to group successfully created. And then we can leave the button as OK with a cancel. All of that is the exact same. So now, okay, so now we want to catch our errors. So the only way that it successfully completes is if this reading from your device worked, this decoding worked, and this saving worked. So it's only when we get to this line, line 102, that we've actually been successful. So this is exactly where we will show the success alert. So if any of these different calls failed, then we will, these lines will not get called. So for these things that could fail and could have errors, the reason this if keyword is here is it will only run this code if it did not fail. So we know that if we're in, so we do a check here, we do a check here, and we do a check here. So we're in this very inner level, we know that we were successful. So then if we run this again, we should see okay, so we can see we didn't see the message, which means it actually wasn't successful, and I know why. So the reason why is that it's making sure that we have a current list saved on our device, but we never set our initial list. So one thing we have to do in our app delegate, so we're going to copy some of this saving code, and we are going to jump on over to app delegate. So this app delegate file is where our application starts essentially. So we see a bunch of functions already in here with us. This one we're going to look at it did finish launching with options. So this function gets run every time our app is launched initially. And we can do some setup things. So what we're going to do is we are going to first check if we already have some circles that exist. So we're going to say if user defaults.standard.data for key circle list. So what this will do is it will try and read our current circle list that's stored on our device and check to make sure that we already have a circle list. So we need an else clause then, because if we don't, we want to initialize our list as empty. So what we want to do is we want to encode just an empty list. But we want to make sure that it knows it's of type circle. So then we've got line. I misspelled circle. And up with that. Okay, so let me go over this code. So what it says is every time our app launches, we are going to check the storage for our circle list. And if we have something there are zeros and ones there, we're going to do nothing. Circle list exists. If not, then we know this is probably the first time users ever used the app. And so we're going to create an empty list. So this is how you create an empty list. You give the type, which is an array of circles with the square bracket and circles, and then just open parentheses, close parentheses, creates an empty list. So then we're going to save to our circle list just an empty list. So that way, that when we go to create something, and we have this check right here which says get the current list and make sure it exists. So that's why it wasn't working before, because it tried to get the current list, but there was no current list. So it was failing. But now we will have a current list because we're starting out as just empty. And so we get the current list, decode it, add our circle, and save it back. And now hopefully this time we should see this create message. And we did. So we see this pop-up that says success, group successfully created.
Nice.
And so then the last thing we can do is clear those fields. So before we show the pop-up, what we can also do is clear all the fields. So to clear the fields, we will need to add that code in our question table view cell for each one of them. So to do that, this is the last thing we'll do. We just need another function. So we'll just call it clear, where all we do is we say the question text field dot text, and then we'll set it to an empty string. So this will take the current text and just say delete it. We just want an empty string. And so that's all we need. So if we go back here, before we went over all cells to call some method. So we can actually steal this code, come down here and paste it. So what this, we need a little bit more. We also need this. Okay, so what this is doing again, just as before, is it's taking all of the visible cells on the screen and then iterating through each of them. So this block of code will get run for each cell, and we'll call it cell. And then we're saying if it's a question, then instead of update value, this time we're going to clear. Okay, we actually don't need a guard this time, because these cells are always going to exist. So this one's actually much simpler. All it is we get the cells as the table views visible cells, table view.visible cells, and then again iterate it and call clear. So let's test this out, see if it works. Yep, so we get the success pop-up, and then our fields were cleared, so that if we wanted to make another one, we can go ahead and show them make another one. So now that gives a little bit of a better user experience for when you're using the app. And then, so now that we have a list of all of our circles stored on our device, next time we can go ahead and build this list, which should go much quicker because we already know a decent amount about how to build lists. And we'll build a list that just displays all of our current circles, and then we'll implement the functionality to where you can click on it and go to another screen to see information about that circle, and to do stuff like send a message and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Wow, awesome. That's amazing. Yeah, I'm so impressed with your ability and your conciseness, your ability to focus and knock it out.
Do you have any questions on anything?
No, not really. I'm going to keep going over this. I'm also really impressed with the amount of forethought you put into it, so I'm definitely going to send you some extra money. I'm going to try to send you like at least $30 extra